I'm going to predict that Kamala Harris is not going to be the nominee either.
Wow.
And the reason is if they get one shot, they're going to take their absolute best shot that they can.
Why are you withdrawing? Is it because of health? And if so, please let us know so we can pray for you. Is it because you were afraid you were going to lose? I mean, that's what Jared Moskowitz just said, the congressman from Florida. So that's interesting.
She's not a great politician. She ran for president once and it was a complete disaster. And right now, it looks like she, Barack Obama, Nancy Pelosi, and a bunch of rich people have just pushed Joe Biden out of this race and in the process disenfranchised millions of Democrat voters.
All right, so let's poke around. We have a lot of reaction to Joe Biden not running to get a second term, but actually staying and continuing this term. So he's too incompetent to campaign, but he's perfectly competent to run the country for the next, 5-6 months until January, until the new president is sworn in. So that's pretty curious, but he posted a couple things. Obviously, I'm sure you've seen the letter by now. We'll just poke through it. You can see it. There's some curiosity about this signature. All right, so let's come back on this signature because this is wild. A lot of people are saying this is weird. First of all, Joe Biden posts this from his personal account. It's not the president's account in the White House. He drops it on a Sunday morning, 10:46 my time. So East Coast, that's afternoon. And he drops this with a signature. No photo, no Oval Office address, no video address, no explanation other than what we get here. And we have another tweet that we'll look at. But he said, my fellow Americans, now over the past 3.5 years, I've wrecked our country. Today, America has a terrible economy. We've made terrible investments and blah, blah, blah. Now, I know none of this could have been done without you, the American people, because we grifted off you and ransacked your taxes. Together, we overcame a pandemic that he exacerbated and made worse, and the worst economic crisis that they caused. We've protected and preserved our democracy after he wrecked it with 234 years precedent thrown in the toilet after he initiated 4 criminal prosecutions against his political opponents. So, all right, it's been the greatest honor of my life to be demented in the White House. And while it's been my intention to seek re-election, I believe it is in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and to focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term. For now, let me express my deepest gratitude to all those who've worked so hard to see me reelected. I want to thank Kamala for being an extraordinary partner. We did it, Joe. And let me express my heartfelt appreciation to the American people. Now, I believe today, what I always have, there's nothing America can't do when we do it together, signed by somebody on behalf of Joe. And I think Owen Schroyer, you know him, he's done some InfoWars stuff. He says, at first, I didn't think much of this, but upon further review, holy moly, this was a legit coup today. It's not even a signature. This is blatant criminal forgery and a fraud. Why no word from Biden? Look at these signatures. So these are pretty interesting. So he actually looked up some other signatures, July 17th. So these are more recent signatures. So you'll notice on most of Joe Biden's signatures, it's a little bulbous on the B, right? It looks like kind of like a bulb, especially on that outer perimeter right here. It bows, right? Like a cave. And the R is a little bulbous too. Now you'll notice that there is no so every single signature, so 14th, concave, the R is bulby. It's a little like rounded. Some people have sharp signatures, like Trump is very sharp. Joe Biden's, the B is a little bit bulbous. Okay, see that convex line right there. But up here on what he signed, no, it's convex. So why is that? The R is also a lot less bulby. The R doesn't look at all the same. Usually on every single R, I mean, almost every one of those signatures looks like almost exactly the same. These all look like identical, actually. He also posted this. So we were asking ourselves, very curious in this letter, there was no real endorsement of Kamala at all. Just said, hey, thanks, Kamala, for being here. Now in another tweet post, though, X post, sorry, Elon, don't ban me, says, my fellow Democrats, he explains himself, and then he dropped in this sentence. Says, my very first decision was to select Kamala. Today, I want to offer my full support and endorsement for Kamala to be the nominee of our party. Democrats, it's time to come together and to beat Trump. Let's do this. So now Kamala getting the nom. She's very excited about it. And Trump's people have already come out and created video on this. Trump MAGA War Room, they put this together. Says Kamala was in on it. She covered up Joe Biden's obvious mental declines. Knew Joe couldn't do the job, and she did it anyways. Look what she's done. Border invasion, runaway inflation, American dreams dead. Kamala's the worst. And she's a terrible speaker, has a terrible laugh. Nobody even likes her at all. So let's see how the Democrats do with that.
Kamala was in on it. She covered up Joe's obvious mental decline.
Our president is in good shape, in good health, tireless, vibrant, and I have no doubt about the strength of the work that we have done.
But Kamala knew Joe couldn't do the job, so she did it. Look what she got done. A border invasion.
Terrible.
Runaway inflation. The American dream dead. They created this mess. They know Kamala. owns this failed record. Make America Great Again Inc. is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Yeah, Kamala, you're responsible for this too. You don't get to run away. They don't get to throw Joe Biden into a dumpster, into a trash bag, and just zip tie that thing and throw it right over the bridge. No, she's part of the same administration. She's responsible for the border and everything else that they've done. So I do not want Joe Biden to just ride off into the sunset like mission accomplished, because he came in here, wrecked the place, okay, just dumped all over the place, just filled up every toilet and left. And then he wants somebody else to come in here and clean his mess. Pencil neck Schiff got asked this specifically. Guthrie over on this network asked him this question. Here's what he said.
Sufficiently concerned that you came out publicly and said he shouldn't run. How do you justify him serving as president right now if he doesn't have the competence to run?
Well, my concern was whether he would be able to win, whether he'd be able to prosecute the case against Donald Trump. I have every confidence in his abilities as president and his ability to continue doing the remarkable job that he's doing. But I am very excited to throw my full support behind the vice president.
Behind the vice president, behind Kamala. And a lot of people are jumping in on Kamala. Apparently she was hitting the phones last night calling everybody, will you support me, please? You better support me or I'll cackle in your ear right now. Like, oh gosh, don't. Yes, I'll support you. So she's got Shapiro and Newsom and a bunch of other people. I think some people are playing coy still. You've got others like Gretchen Whitmer. Well, we'll see what happens at the convention and so on. But she's trying to rally a bunch of support. One person who is not supporting her right now very aggressively is Barack Obama. Oh, Joe Biden, he posted a full statement. He posted over on Medium. Apparently he's writing over there on Medium. And here is his full post. He says, from Barack Obama, uncharted waters in the days ahead, but I have extraordinary confidence that the leaders of our party will be able to create a process from which an outstanding nominee emerges. What about Kamala? Barry, what's going on? I believe that Joe Biden's vision of a generous, prosperous, and a united America that provides opportunity for everyone will be on full display in August at the DNC. And I expect that every single one of us are prepared to carry that message of hope and progress forward into November and beyond. For now, Michelle and I just want to express our love, and maybe Michelle comes back. I think we have Vivek is saying it's still going to be Michelle. This got clipped over from Josh Dunlap. Says Vivek says Michelle Obama, not Kamala, will be the nominee. Oh my gosh. I don't know. I think Vivek has been pretty right about this. I mean, he said that obviously Joe was not going to be the nominee. I don't know that that was a hard prediction because he had dementia, but we were still supporting him, even dementia or not. I feel let down. We supported Joe. So it's a loss for us today. But here is what Vivek is saying. It's not going to be Kamala either.
So look, I say this as somebody who a year ago predicted Joe was not going to be the nominee. I'm going to predict that Kamala Harris is not going to be the nominee either.
Wow.
And the reason is if they get one shot, they're going to take their absolute best shot that they can.
Who is it?
That's clearly not Kamala Harris. Well, look, I think there's a lot of open possibilities. I would not write off the possibility that it ends up being Michelle Obama.
Wow.
She checks off the same identity
politics
boxes, and it's going to be somebody who's maybe above the fray that doesn't create the same kind of infighting that could debilitate their
so
party.
Barack is literally leading the charge, trying to keep his, keeping plausible deniability, and then his own wife takes over?
Yeah.
What do you call that?
I think you call it realism. Sean, the reality is they're going to take their best shot. They wait until after the RNC convention. That timing is optimal for them because it gets closer and closer to the eventual election. They're going to drag this out, I predict, through the Democratic nomination convention at the DNC in late August. I think Michelle Obama is not off the table. But you know what our message is? And I know President Trump would agree with this as well. Our message to the Democrats is, you know what? Put up the best possible ticket that you can. That'll be good for your party. It'll be good for the country. And it doesn't matter because we're still going to win because our vision for this country is the stronger one for all Americans.
Yeah, it's not fair. Sean's right.
It's not fair. Of course it's not. But the reality is, Sean, we have to defeat this.
It's honestly disgusting what they've done. Could you imagine if they did this with Trump? Just kind of shoved him out and just said, well, you got a conviction felony and like we're taking all your money away and all this, and you're just dead now. Like you're dead in the water. I'd be outraged. After all the people voted, they find some excuse to shove Trump aside and then they post some weird statement without a video with probably a fake signature. It's not just us saying that. Here, even on Fox News, we're like, what the hell's going on? This is weird. Says Bayer says, not even physically seeing him. Like he's got COVID. He looked like somebody was shoving him into the back of a Secret Service car. We talked about that last week. He can't walk up and down a flight of stairs to get on Air Force One. He's got COVID. Doctor said, right, he's actually sick. They're giving him Paxlovid and other stuff. Well, is he mentally fit? Does he even have the competency to sign away his re-election campaign? It's crazy. Like if this guy walked into a car dealership and Joe Biden said, hey, I want to buy a car. Do you think the car dealer would sell him a car? No, they wouldn't sell him a car, obviously. So why are they allowing him to abandon his campaign? It's crazy. So Bayer saying the same thing. What the heck happened last night? Nobody really knows. They posted a statement. Joe Biden's going to speak about it later on. All right, here it is.
But I want to go back to your previous statement, Dana, about not seeing President Biden today. I think as you think about what has transpired today since 1:45 p.m., not physically seeing him even address a camera in Delaware, let alone Oval Office statement like LBJ did when he dropped out in March of 1968. It is disconcerting, isn't it?
Brett, they didn't even release a White House still photograph.
No.
Nothing. I hope he's fine. But you could forgive people for wondering if we are really living Weekend at Bernie's right now.
We are.
Like, proof of life, please. Let's see it, okay? We want the president to be okay. I do want him to be able to leave on a note that is high in his mind, right? So that he feels like he had this public service career where he achieved the ultimate, and he's obviously unwell. And so
look, I don't want that at all. I want Joe Biden on the ballot. I want him to face the voters. I want him to be held accountable for his last 3.5 years.
And we want him to be a person that can like stand on his own 2 feet and look the American people in the eye and explain why he's leaving. Because without that, imagine what your allies, your adversaries, your enemies, your military, your voters are all sitting there going, well, wait, so why are you withdrawing? Is it because of health? And if so, please let us know so we can pray for you. Is it because you were afraid you were going to lose? I mean, that's what Jared Moskowitz just said, the congressman from Florida. So that's interesting. I would note that while we've been on the air, the Pennsylvania governor, Josh Shapiro, has endorsed Kamala Harris, and she is one of the few people that is floated
real quick because he wants to be VP
as a possible vice presidential nominee for him. On this idea that old is off the table, I just don't think that anybody who watched the last week at the RNC can make an honest comparison about Joe Biden's cognitive decline that we've been watching and the 78-year-old Donald Trump. I don't think that's going to work.
Yeah, they're doing that now, though. It's a new meme. It's, wow, suddenly Trump is the oldest person all of a sudden. Trump is old. Trump is old. Yeah, okay, well, Trump just got shot in the head. All right, he's fine. He's still campaigning, going around everywhere, and he's got more vigor than most of the people even writing about him in the mainstream media. So I don't think it's going to work at all. I think people are going to say, the dude just got shot in the head, bounced right back up, said fight, 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 and walked off the stage. So we'll see if that works for him. But it is strange. It's very weird what happened. Even Biden's White House aides didn't know anything about it. So Politico says Biden's announcements stunned even the White House and campaign aides, who up until this afternoon were insisting he'd stay in the race. There were people on the Sunday shows who were there for the Democrats saying, oh yeah, we're going to fight the show. We watched it yesterday. And then he came out with his announcement and everything changed. Says we're all finding out by tweet, says one Democrat. None of us understand what's happening. Biden drops out on day 4 after he's been isolated at home. Nobody's known about him. He might be pumped up full of Paxlovid or other drugs or whatever. And it's bedlam over there. Biden drops out on day 4. His decision came forth on the 4th day of the day of sequestration. He's been isolating, recovering from COVID because it's very scary, even though he's been jabbed a million times. The president was initially joined by a small group of aides, spent the entire period out of public view, such a scam. The White House in the meantime provided little detail on his activities, alluding only to a handful of briefings and a congratulations call with someone over from the EU. But Biden was joined this weekend by Steve Ricchetti, one of his closest aides. Just hours before the president said he would abandon his bid, his campaign was hit with more grim views, down 7 percentage points in Michigan. Oh, more than double the deficit. Now Murphy's endorsed. Biden's exit blows a hole. We got Whitmer, who's going to be very excited about joining in. So the aides don't even know about it. Aides are just blown out of the water on this. So here's another report from CBS News explaining what happened, and things shifted pretty quickly here. They were telling us Joe Biden's vigorous. Remember, they were telling us there was cheap fakes and that we're all losers and conspiracy theorists for even questioning his capability. Now he's gone. Obviously, we knew this was going to happen.
Younger brothers, and here's what he told us. He said, I'm incredibly proud of my brother. Selfishly, I will have him back to enjoy whatever time we have left. He is a genuine hero. Country over self. It sounds corny in our cynical political environment, but he nor I are cynical. The goal remains the same: defeat Trump and continue the work that Joe has done. My hope is that our party rallies around this heroic act. We asked him whether he feels that his brother's overall health and vitality played a major role in this decision, and he says, in my humble opinion, absolutely. So a member of the president's family now confirming that the president's health was indeed a major factor in this decision, and calling his brother a hero for making the decision to pass the torch to Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
So Nancy, sorry, can you clarify that the family is saying his health was or was not a factor?
He's saying that in his humble opinion, yes. yes, the president's health and vitality played a considerable role in his decision. It's important to note Frank Biden is not speaking for the family writ large. This was simply a conversation between CBS News and Frank Biden. Unclear how much input he had in this decision, but he says that he believes that his brother's health did play a role, and he says that the goal remains the same, to defeat Donald Trump.
Well, that is notable because to date, the family, the White House, the establishment has rejected the premise that there was anything that was challenging the president's mental acuity or his health, and that all these accusations were baseless, that it was just age and a few difficult nights,
bad nights,
like he had on the debate stage. So that is a change in message.
Yeah, because they lied to us, and now they have to admit it. He's getting worse by the day, man. But they were just really close. If a couple other things had happened differently, maybe if Trump wasn't the nominee, then maybe he would stick in the race. But fortunately for them, Trump survived. So we have now more reaction. Wild stuff was happening yesterday. So while a lot of people were castigating and scolding Joe for not getting out of the race, soon as he exits the race, everybody starts crying tears for him. Here's Van Jones crying, literally on air, crying. You just cry because this is someone you love. This is someone you care about. This is someone that was there for you. All right, let's watch a little bit. I don't know how long we can take.
One of the great human in America. This is a huge moment
for
him, for his family, for all of us who love him, for all of us who wanted him to get across the finish line. But if you're a young person watching this, this is leadership. This is patriotism. This is what it means to put the country first.
Because he left? Because you guys threw him out? They were destroying him. Not necessarily Van Jones, but CNN was. Dude's demented. Dude can't remember names. Dude is asleep at the wheel at all these fundraisers. We had leak after leak after leak. They were trying to destroy him. Nancy Pelosi forced him out, basically. And now they're going to say it's patriotic and he's doing something heroic. This was a pressure campaign. Now, apparently Kamala's coming out like right now. Democrats woke up on Monday to a transformed presidential race. Are we going to hear from Kamala before we hear from Joe? Are you serious? Since then, Democrats have been coalescing around her. Harris garnered high-profile endorsements from Durbin and Schiff. On Monday, she's going to be hosting an event at the White House for the NCAA. On the flip side of the race, Vance is out and Trump is out on Sunday. He was railing against Biden's withdrawal, claiming it was undemocratic and mocking his fitness. He was doing that. He said here a couple things from Trump. He says Biden never had COVID, okay? He's a threat to democracy. He said it's not over, okay? Tomorrow, crooked Joe Biden's going to wake up and forget that he dropped out of the race. Oh no. He says, so we're forced to spend time and money fighting crooked Joe Biden. He polls badly after having a terrible debate, then he quits the race. Now we have to start all over again? Shouldn't the Republican Party be reimbursed for fraud? In that everybody around Joe, including his doctors and the fake news media, knew that he was not capable of running for or being president? Just asking. Says my debate with crooked Joe, the worst president in the history of the United States, was slated to be broadcast on fake news ABC, the home of George Slopadopoulos, sometime in September. Now that Joe has, not surprisingly, has quit the race, I think the debate with whomever the radical left Democrats choose should be held on Fox News rather than the very biased ABC. Thank you, Donald J. Trump. And he's got some more. He says, who's running our country right now? It's not crooked Joe. He has no idea where he is. If he can't run for office, he can't run our country. Says the Democrats pick a candidate called Crooked Joe. He loses the debate badly, then panics, makes mistake after mistake, is told you can't win, and decide that they will pick another candidate, probably Harris, just like in the middle of the fight. 7th round, our fighter sucks. Can we change him out? No. Well, we're going to do it anyways. They stole the race from Biden after he won it in the primaries at first. Says these people are the real threat to democracy. He's absolutely right about it. I mean, I would be sick if they did this with Trump. And they could have easily done it with Trump. They could have said after the grab by the purse tape, they tried to do it after the grab by the purse tape came out. And people had voted, people had their say, they just swap him out. Trump says it's a new day. Joe Biden doesn't remember quitting the race yesterday. He is demanding his campaign schedule and arranging talks with President Xi of China and Putin of Russia about World War III. Yeah, Biden is sharp, decisive, energetic, angry, and ready to go, they say. And some more retruths from Trump out there. And the hagiography continues, so they just keep showing what an amazing person he is. Here's Rachel Maddow saying, what a man, what a patriot, what an act of selfless devotion to your country. No, you guys threw him out. This wasn't his decision. He decided 5 times to stay around.
Gave us the best recovery from COVID.
Look at how rough she looks, man. Someone powder her face up, for crying out loud. What are you doing?
Any major nation on earth at a time when the world has economically been struggling in the wake of COVID. The Biden economy is literally the envy of...
Man, they've been going through it. Just in general, like we all, you should then kind of just hit it with the brush before you hop on the air. It's not even complicated. I happen to do that too. It's a true thing. You're supposed to do that in this space. So we're waiting for Kamala to come out and don't have any answers on who her vice president is going to be. But but she has some support. Benny Thompson, remember him from the fake January 6th Select Committee, says, I'm proud to offer my endorsement of Kamala. And so they're going to try to consolidate support as quickly as possible so there is no infighting. Ron DeSantis says Kamala Harris was complicit, Ron DeSantis, in a massive cover-up to hide and deny the fact that Joe was not capable of discharging the duties of his office. She was also the border czar during the worst border crisis in American history. Democrats are just rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. Good comment there from Ron. Now, is it going to be Kamala? There's 250 million reasons why it should be her, but whether it is or not remains to be seen. Here was Biden's co-chair, who was getting a little squeamish. He's also crying, man. Look at him. He's crying on the air. Oh, Chris Coons, what's wrong, brother?
I'm sorry. This was a very difficult decision.
Yeah, I'm sure Nancy Pelosi was probably like, I don't know, like this close away with a flamethrower. She probably had Chris Coons back there just like, all right, Chris, I'm going to count to 10. You know, in those movies? 9. He's like, no, but Joe can win. Michigan, Pennsylvania, 8. No, Nevada. No, I swear, Georgia. Here was Jennings, who always has some good comments and some good stingers out there. He showed up with Caitlin Collins, and here's what he said.
Yeah, it's shocking. I mean, if I had known the second coming of the Lord Almighty was going to happen on the East Coast this weekend, I wouldn't have gone to San Diego. I'd have been there with you. But here we are, 3 weeks after the cheap fake, by the way, episode, which the most embarrassing gaslighting that ever happened. I mean, Republicans are going to paint Kamala Harris as Joe Biden. She's been number 2 in the administration that has a mid-30s approval rating that's overseeing this inflation crisis. She was the border czar for the immigration crisis that everybody is mad about. And on top of that, she's been one of the principal ringleaders of the cover-up of Joe Biden's actual condition. So I hear I've been listening for the last couple of hours, a lot of crowing and pumping up of Kamala Harris. But let's not forget, she's not a great politician. She ran for president once and it was a complete disaster. And right now, it looks like she, Barack Obama, Nancy Pelosi, and a bunch of rich people have just pushed Joe Biden out of this race and in the process disenfranchised millions of Democrat voters.
And they did it, relatively quickly. And Kamala's going to be shoved in there and ensconced as number 1 now.